Hello, VC. It's me, Dennis. It's been a hot minute since I did a video. I think when I looked at the channel, it was about 2 months. Let me go over this real quick. And I've been busy at work and and whatnot. So I haven't been. It's not like I haven't been buying. It's just the way things go sometimes. I do apologize for the shaky cam. I don't know why it's so crazy today, but it is. So I got a couple of things here from this last weekend. This isn't everything I picked up since the last video. I mean, it's a good chunk of it. And I might talk a little bit about some of the other notable stuff, but this literally just came in the mail here. Woke up a little bit ago after taking a nap from work. We're in the middle of like a upgrade. Well, at the end of one. I had been up since 1, and I made it till about 11:30, and I had to call her a day and take a little nap. But this popped up on Newbury Comics, maybe a week or so ago. Maybe it was like I think last Saturday or Saturday before, and I caught my eye. I'm just gonna show it and then I'll talk about it. It's a compilation called "Even a Tree Can Shed Tears: Japanese Folk and Rock, 1969 to 1973." Right here. It's as the hype sticker states, it's on light pink vinyl. The mock-up on the website has basically matching the color of the cover. Also, someone's like a sakura pink. And it does have this little obi strip sort of thing on it. But basically, it's talking about while we're talking like the 1960s, there's student protests, rising youth culture, and they're kind of folk music songs became political. Beatlemania inspired copycat groups made their way for more personal kind of new music. So this is like an inaugural collection. It sounds like I'm not sure who actually does this. Light in the Attic is the one that actually put this out. It sounds like they're going to be releasing multiple volumes of this. And I did notice after I got this in, looks like it was originally released in 2017, so there might already be more out there. This might just be the Newbury exclusive. I kind of thought they might have been released around the same time. But, it has songs by Happy End, Harumi Hasano, excuse me. I'm familiar with those two. And a number of other like Vietnam War era artists. It says it's the first time the first fully licensed anthology of this type of music to be released outside of Japan. There's 2 LPs. There's a 20-page book of liner notes, which is great because all the songs are going to be in Japanese. So while it may be easy on the ears to listen to, unless you know the language, you're not going to know what the hell they're saying. So it's nice that they did include some sort of notes on there. And one thing I do appreciate too is on the back of the jacket. It probably won't turn up well on the camera, so I'm not going to re-show it again. But it lists both like the artist name and song name in Japanese, along with the English on the underneath it. So instead of having to have like a little cheat sheet along with it, in case somebody asks, oh, what's this, what's that, it's right there in the jacket, which I guess since it's being released in the States, it makes way more sense rather than like getting something from Japan and hoping that it's like that. Let's see here. Yeah. So, and then this next batch of things is from a local record store. It's one of my favorites. It's across the river over in Canada. They announced late last week that they're having a big blowout sale. It sounds like their lease is up at the current location, and they're trying to excuse me. They're trying to find a new spot. They're not actually closing. It's just a matter of trying to find as large of a spot elsewhere in the city. The building they're currently in, it's old. They're one of maybe like 5 stores left in this little mall. And I know back in the early fall, we had gotten like a ton of rain, and like the roof leaked. Luckily, they didn't lose any stock. But and I don't know. Maybe they've had more issues since then. I have no idea. So all CDs and all LPs, including like wall vinyl, were all 50% off. And then you had like movies and DVDs that were like 40% off, and they have a smattering of everything. They have some video games. They have, of course, a bunch of music. Some well, in the main store they have books relating to like music and artists and stuff like that. But then they actually own 3 storefronts. So you have it's called the Rad Zone, which is the record store and all that. Your main media. Next door you have like a bookstore, I guess, that just has used books in general. And then next to that you have like a skate shop mostly. There's some other stuff in there, but with the Rad Zone, I have some LPs here too, but I just want to get these out of the way. On CD I picked up Method Man's To Call 2000 Judgment Day. Beep. Sorry for that. I hit the back of the mic. And then a music DVD here called Make It Funky, the music that took over the world. It looks like it's mostly New Orleans jazz, which having just came back from New Orleans, and getting to hear some of that jazz in person is nice. But it has Alan Toussaint, Big Sam's Funky Nation, Bonnie Raitt. I think that's how you say it. Keith Richards is in here. Kermit Ruffins, Steve Jordan, Papa Funk's Boys. So it just looks like it's gonna be a fun little listen. I mean, this is $9.98 and whatever, like 40% off of that is, plus convert Canadian to US, which makes it even more an easier pill to swallow, I guess. And then I got a nice little stack here of LPs. I'm gonna save this one for last, I think, because that's one main one I went over there for. Again, apologies for the shakiness. I don't know, something must be a little off balance today. Some of these I had been eyeing up for a little bit, but either they had enough like scuffs from like, maybe I'll find something newer or something better, or the price was like, I can't really find much on the band, or forget to look them up when I come back over here, because for a long time I didn't have data in Canada. That's recently changed. Others were just, either they didn't have a clean copy and finally they put a clean one out, or the price is low enough. Like this one's, the record itself looks fine, but it's like $10, 50% off of that's $5. $5 Canadian to US is what, $3-4. You might as well do it, and if there's something wrong with it later, a lot of these are gonna be easy to replace. But just to quit complaining here, this is someone I've recently gotten into, as I've started tackling a little bit more of like American folk music, and that's Joan Baez, Come From the Shadows. I'm gonna do that and show the back. I'm gonna actually, apologies for this. Oh god. Okay, this is gonna be better. And then the gatefold. The one thing I really don't like about this is the records inside of the gatefold here. That makes it a little bit of a pain to work with. But this album has the Prison Trilogy, Rainbow Road to a Love Song for a Stranger, Myths, and The Quiet Morning, We're Your Mothers, People Union #1. Side 2 contains To Bobby, Song of Bangladesh, A Stranger in My Place, looks like it was original by Kenny Rogers, Tumbleweed, The Partisan, Imagine. It has John Lennon's Imagine on here. And I mean, of course, if you know Joan Baez, she has a ton of albums, and I'd seen this over there once before, and just something from the era of it being, it's from '72, so it's I think the winding down of the Vietnam era, and some of the songs on here, of course, I'm a sucker for tributes and covers, so having Joan Baez sing Imagine and like Rainbow Road and stuff, it definitely intrigued me. So for $9.98, I wasn't going to complain. I have to have that. Next up, I have the band called Nightwing, and the album is Black Summer. They're a bit of a hard rock sort of metal band. They've had these here for ages, but some of them don't have the inner sleeves. But this is on the Attic label. I can't. Yeah, so this is a Canadian pressing. I don't know if it's a Canadian band. I didn't actually look up too much information on the band ahead of time. I think. I don't know, it's been a while. I think I sampled these guys a while ago, and they were fine. It's either that or one that I couldn't find a whole lot of information on. And as I fight to get the sleeve back on, there we go. You can tell the sleeve's been on and off these a bunch of times with the way that they're folded. Okay. But the band themselves, it's I don't recognize any of the names. Maybe you guys will. But it has Gordon Rowley on bass, lead and harmony vocals, Alec Johnson on lead, harmony, vocals, and guitars, Kenny Newton's on keyboards, and Steve Bartley on drums. This came out in 1982. Yeah, I don't know what else to say on Black Summer. And they also had another Nightwing album called Something in the Air. And these two, let's see here. How much is this? Yeah, that one was $18. This is $20 Canadian before discount. But again, I haven't seen these. I mean, I'm sure I can get them on Discogs and online and whatnot, right? But I haven't seen them in any other physical store that I've been in. I mean, I haven't exactly got on my way to look for them. But I just want to make sure that, I mean, with the sale that's going on, again, it's easier to blind buy some of this stuff. And especially if they are Canadian, which this one's manufactured should be in Canada, yeah. It's the next closest good, reasonable sort of store is 3-hour drive. So instead of risking it, right? But this is on Ovation Records. It's the label. All this, I believe, is just straight black vinyl. From here on out. Again, not much to say about this album here. I haven't listened to it yet. I got all these on Monday afternoon after I had to go in I was at work for 2 in the morning, and got off of work, I don't know, 12:30, and then we end up heading over across the river later on in the afternoon to hit up the sale. It's going on until the end of the month. But just the way that my on-call rotation stuff works, this is really the only week I can get over there before the sale ends. And this album actually picks up some new people. You still have Gordon Rowley, Kenny Newton, and Steve Bartley. But you also have Eric Percival, lead rhythm guitar, Alec Johnson, lead rhythm. This is a hell of a name. Barrington Von Kampen, keyboards, 12 and 6 string guitar, harmony vocals. Steve Bartley, Paul Ellison, who's drums on a couple of tracks. And John Milet also plays drums on track 4 and side 1, so 1, 2, 3, Edge of a Knife. So, actually, this might actually be something of a cover album. I can't tell. Because like Edge of a Knife and Something in the Air, Boogie Woman, Keep Me Hanging On, and then they thank Crosby, Stills and Nash in the bottom. I don't know. I'll have to look at that later. Next up, you can tell most of my time was spent in like the metal section, and that's because like there's so much of just your normal, like your mix of your rock and alt and all that you can spend just hours digging through it and still feel like you're not seeing it all. Whereas like the metal section and stuff's relatively small. There's a even smaller punk section. There's post punk, and I don't know much about post punk. I've only looked through those bins like once my entire time I've been there. And I didn't want to spend as much time as I spent in there anyways. But I knew there were certain bands that had a bunch of albums there that I've been looking at for a while, but either because of like cover condition or like with the Nightwing, with them being a little bit expensive, like on the cover, like not wanting to risk it. But this is a band that I haven't listened to in a while, but I am familiar with, and that's Saxon and the Crusader album. I'm not familiar with the album itself, mind you, but Saxon is just a fantastic album, or a fantastic band. It is a Canadian pressing. Most of these are going to be Canadian, of course. So the Carrier, I need to replace a lot of these sleeves. A lot of these are just junk. They're probably nice at one point, but being in a shop and then everybody taking a look at junk. I mean, the one thing, this cover looks almost like it's pasted on. I don't know. But in the upper right hand corner here, if you see, it's a promo copy. I didn't notice that till I'm like, oh, it's $12.98 before discount. I'll buy it. And I kind of looked at the back again and just saw the gold because a lot of it's worn off. I'm like, oh, yep, that's an easy one there. And then this, I don't know much about these two albums in general, but I started collecting the band a little bit more in earnest, and that's Uriah Heep. So first guy I have here is Head First. Little desert cover there, and then here's the back. And one thing I noticed, I don't know if anybody really cares. This again is Canadian, but they have like two, 3, 4 different copies of this, and I noticed there was a variant or variants on them. I haven't looked into why or which is an earlier one or anything, but up in the top corner here on the back you see Mercury. Out of the, like I said, 3, 4, whatever, how many there were, this is the only one that had this Mercury little label on it. The labels themselves on the records were all the same, as far as I could tell. But for the jacket, this was blank. The catalog numbers and everything were the same on them. It was just your Mercury. Maybe that'll help someone that wants to collect, all the different variants that Uriah Heep has put out, or something like that, or maybe somebody knows. But I figure I'll just pass that along into the ether that is the VC. These last, I'm not gonna pull out the records on these last. Well, on most of these, the last one I probably will, because I'm already running at 20 minutes. But this is Uriah Heep, Innocent Victim. Again, like I don't know what era these are. I know they're probably not your classic, your Magician's Apprentice, Demons and Wizards era. But still, I mean, it's I think it's worth risking for the biscuit there. So one of my kind of, I hesitate to say guilty pleasure bands, right? Because I feel like if you like something, you like it, right? Why feel guilty about it? Whether that's a movie or music or whatever. I mean, if you're the straight cut guy and you think a band like The Used is the bomb, right? Just wear it with pride. I mean, who cares if it doesn't, you don't look like the typical person that would listen to it, or your friends might give you shit for it. But I have I have most of this band's like golden years. I don't have a lot of their like early stuff, and I don't have their later stuff. But this was one I was missing from this kind of golden era, and that's Earth, Wind, and Fire's Gratitude. It's a 2 LP set, and the thing's been there a while. I looked at it once before. The vinyl's pretty clean. There might be a few scuffs on one of them. I can't remember. But like, it's a bit dirty. There's a bit of rig wear, on the top and the bottom here, and a little bit on the back. But I was hoping to be able to find like a slightly cleaner copy, just because I know just how many of these records probably exist out there. But again, half off sale. It was $15, so it's $7.50, and then you pay that and then you transfer it back into American funds. I'll take a slightly off-white cover. This one, I don't know. I feel like I must have skipped past this, or they got it in and I just didn't know about it. But it's a comedy album from a guy that if you haven't heard before, do yourself a favor and I think he has some stuff on Spotify. I know he comes up on Pandora a lot if you start a station with him on it. Or else just suck it up, go on to Amazon, buy his like greatest hits collection. But it's Tom Lehrer. That was the year that was on Reprise. And if you can't tell, it's a Canadian copy. A little Maple Leaf there. I mean, all these, well, most of these songs, I'm not familiar with, like MLF Lullaby, but National Brotherhood Week, Smut, Send the Marines, So Long Mom, which is a war for World War III, Whatever Became of Hubert, New Math, Werner von Braun, The Vatican Rag. I mean, these are all classics. It was recorded in 1965 in San Francisco. I'll show the Reprise label here. It's a little Steamboat Reprise, but just on the mono cover there. Actually, let's see here. This thing's really clean. I don't know when this one was actually like produced. It might be like a more recent reissue or something like that. But I was really excited to get that because I have a 7-inch of his that I found over here, but it's pretty beat up. But it was the only time I'd seen his stuff on like original vinyl. Then last is what I kind of went over there to begin with. I'd been over there and I looked at this thing a couple different times, and they had one on the wall that was a bit of a cleaner copy on the cover and stuff, but it was also like $20 more. And then when I got there, the one that was in the bins was on the opposite wall, and that's one I ended up getting. But it's a Canadian psych band from, let's see here, RC put it out. I don't remember when this came out, and I can't see for the life of me. It was like 71 maybe. I don't know, maybe the LP will have it. But I had taken a picture of it so that when I came back to the States, I could either look up the band or see maybe somebody rip the album onto YouTube. And a few days earlier, or over the weekend, when they first announced the sale, I went on it and I listened to it. And I'm like, okay, pretty easy listening for all in all. And I was just kind of skipping around to make sure there wasn't any, anything crazy, like more the middle of the album. And it sounded pretty good. So okay, I'll make this like my big purchase over there, because this version of it was $39.98. The other one, like I said, was like $59. And it still had its own issues. But anyways, the band is called Morse Code Transmission, an RC Victor. And as you can tell, like, it has a little pinhole here, a bunch of ring wear. And the better version, it doesn't have like the ring wear, but the pinhole, and of course it's a little rough around the edges, but the pinhole was actually like down here, like in the middle of the jacket, and that would annoy the hell out of me. And then the vinyl in here is damn near perfect as far as I can tell. It just, like, the jacket looked better, and I don't know if the other one, this just has that like a cheap sleeve on it, plastic sleeve. I don't know if the other one had the actual inner one or not. They were busy. I didn't want to have them take it down if I wasn't like 100% planning on buying it. And then I took a quick look on Discogs. The cheapest one in the States, without having to worry about like shipping from Canada, was still $40. And I checked even some of the ones from Canada that were like VG condition and stuff, and almost every single one that had a small pinhole in the corner, or like a punch. So I don't know if these things just weren't popular, and so all of them got blown out or something like that. I don't know what the story of it is, but I know I showed the front cover. I don't know if I showed the back. There you go, a little story like about the band, pictures. Yeah, they list it as like a Canadian Psych Prog, which is something that you don't really, hear much of. But it's just on your orange RC Victor label. And you can see that like there's flecks of dirt and stuff. I need to put it to the ringer before I actually put it on the table. But like I said, it'd been on the list, but like it's a relatively short album. I think it's less than like 30 minutes long. Actually, that's one thing. So sometimes it's hard to justify spending that amount. Yeah, that doesn't have the year on it either. But like I said, I think it's like the early 70s. But I was intrigued by it. I don't know why, even when I first saw it. But again, spending $40 on a blind buy, especially in a genre I'm just sticking my toes into. Um, it's a little bit hard to you know, hard to justify. But this thing, it's looks like the four band members here are Jocelyn Julian, Christian Samard, Michael Vele. I think that's how you say it. There's a little chick above the first E, and Raymond Waugh. Kind of. I don't know if these are French names or not. Yeah, French Canada. Looks like they come out of here. And I know when I had Googled, oh, there's more members of the band. Anyways, I'll finish my thought. When I Googled band, I didn't see any sort of Wikipedia page come out for it. So my gut says that they didn't really put out a whole lot of music. Before I say anything else, let me just double check that. Morse code transmission. Oh, that's certainly not the right one. They're coming up as a hip hop rap album. Yeah, I don't think that's right. Looks like they might have came out with a Morse code transmission too. Yeah. No, it came out in 1972. Yeah, according to this YouTube thing, this album came out in 71. Yeah, all I'm getting is basically information about, Morse code itself. Biography and history. Looks like they were originally known as Lemaitres. I don't know why. Oh, there it is. Okay, so it looks like they came out with 4 albums in total. They had this came out in 71, and then they had Le Marche des Hommes in 75. And my apologies for French. I've never taken any French classes. But you have Je suis le thème and Codebreaker. Je suis came out in 77, Codebreaker in 83. And that's from AllMusic, and I don't know where else to find any more information on it. But yeah, according to here, let's see, you have Christian Samard, him, yep, drums. And then looks like the other 2 people on here, I'm going to get there only on a couple of songs. But you have a solo cello. You have a guy named Peter Schenkman. And on the Cajun fiddle, Al Cherney. But it doesn't list which songs those are on. I'm going to guess it's probably pretty obvious when you listen to it, though. So yeah, that's kind of the recent haul. The only other notables that I can think of that have gotten in are through Vinyl Me Please. They recently reissued Queens of the Stone Age, Songs for the Deaf, which if you're even remotely a Queens fan, or in that genre at all, you know that's a pretty hard album to come by. It's been bootlegged 100 times over, and even the bootlegs are expensive. And so they recently got the permission from the studio to repress it. I think it's on like a red and black vinyl, not a splatter, but like a split or something like that. I don't know what you would want to call it. And apparently there was a big hang up with the studio, according to the write up on it. and one of it was the fact that they wanted um, to repress it themselves, I guess, later. So like, well, we'll just do our own exclusive color variant, and then in the studio requested black vinyl. It's like, and then you guys can just repress it on black vinyl like whenever you want. And so it sounds like, and I think that's why like it never. I don't think it ever sold out like Method Man's Tikal did when that was the hip hop album of the month for Round Me Please. Was because it's. I mean, one, you gotta imagine that anybody and their brother signed up for 3 months for Vinyl Me Please in order to get this album. So they probably pressed a ton. But it's also the fact that they made it known that, hey, an actual reissue just on plain black vinyl from the label is gonna be coming out too. So that's gonna hopefully cut the cost of the originals down, and anybody that wants Songs for the Deaf in an official capacity is gonna be able to get it now. Which is good because I remember listening to it when it first came out. I've never been a big Queens of the Stone Age fan, but I remember really, really liking the album. So I'm glad I can actually listen to it in my, the format of choice these days. And outside of that, I can't remember exactly what I showed in my last video, but I picked up some Coleman Hawkins stuff and a few small things there. But it's been relatively slow, coming up in Christmas time and the holidays and saving up for some other stuff. So I don't know when the next video is coming out, but feel free to leave a message. Contact me on here. Maybe one of these days I'll actually post my Instagram that I have 2 posts on. I've been a member for years because I don't really use it. But feel free to leave a message. I'll be checking on those every so often. I just don't have many subs, so I don't check religiously every day. But I'll get back to you with any sort of questions you might have or whatever. So if I don't see you before American Thanksgiving, I hope everybody has a good Turkey Day or however you celebrate. Try to spend some time with family, friends, and I'll see you when I see you. Peace out.